Okay, it's going to be a classic review of the WWE Royal Rumble 1992. I'm here with my brother, and we're going to breeze through this undercard pretty quickly. The first match tonight, you had the new foundation, Owen, Hart, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, taking on the Orient Express. This was definitely the best match on the undercard. Owen Hart was really impressive. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I thought it was the best match of the night, actually. I mean, overall, as far as wrestling goes, yeah, Owen Hart just got to kind of showcase everything that he could do, you know, and he was great, and everyone else was great too, you know, in the match. You know, it was a lot longer than we expected it to be.
Yeah,
it
even
was really
that Mr. Fuji kendo stick shot where he had the cane, and I think it was Owen or Anvil. They got whipped into the cane. That was pretty nasty.
Irish whip into the cane, yeah. No, Owen took a beating, but he did all these high flyer moves.
He was a high flyer.
He just proved he could do everything. He could high fly, he could wrestle on the mat, and it's a good, if you're an Owen Hart fan, it's a good showcase of Owen Hart.
All right, so next up we had Roddy Piper taking on the Mountie for the Intercontinental Championship. Bret Hart had lost the IC title to the Mountie. I think it was like at a house show a couple weeks earlier. So yeah, this is the only time Piper won the belt. What did you think of Piper's promo and the overall win? It was a great night for Piper. This is one of the best nights of his career with the title win and the performance in the Rumble. He was probably a top 5 MVP in the Rumble.
That's true. I mean, I think that Piper. I think the match should have been a little bit longer, and I think they could have done more.
Quick. Yeah.
It was quick.
He could have cut more off of the Bushwacker match.
He won with like a sleeper hold in like 5 to 7 minutes, I think. You know, wow. Imagine that.
But you were saying that it made Bret look weak because the Mountie didn't put up more of a fight. Like, how does the Mountie beat Bret and then he gets squashed by Piper?
Right, because he beat Bret. Bret tried to roll him. It was a house show, and I think it was in Springfield.
Yeah.
And the Mountie beat Bret Hart. And then, obviously, Piper gets a title shot against the Mountie to beat him in such a short amount of time. Yeah, I just thought it, you know, like, okay, I can make Bret look weak, but I think Bret was injured at the time. I don't know what the injury was, but he must have been injured.
Like that's the one thing missing from the Rumble is Bret. But talk about your relationship with Roddy Piper. You're a big fan of him, the movie star, and the promos. So just give me your thoughts on the promo. Well, and some of the promos, I think they went over our heads as kids.
Yeah, no,
especially that thing about the Mountie and the
they're very sexual, you know, and
I guess the Mountie is going to get his man. Remember that?
Right, he is going to. Yeah, no, he just made some comments about wet dreams and whatnot, and he was very funny.
I love the promos back then because they felt like they just felt like so real. Like they were kind of all over the place, but they weren't written by Brian Gerwirtz, so that's what I liked about them.
They were the real deal. Yeah, and Piper was one of the best at that. Everything he did, I mean, it wasn't great wrestling, but every time he was on screen, whether it was in the ring or on the mic, it was entertaining. So Piper was a lot. He was always a lot of fun to watch. You know.
All right, and then we had probably the worst match tonight: Bushwackers versus the Heavenly Bodies. I mean, they could have cut a lot of time off of this. The Bushwackers were over, but the longer it lasted, the fans just lost interest. So we'll just move on from there. The next match was Legion of Doom taking on the Natural Disasters of Earthquake and Typhoon. Ended in a DQ. I think Earthquake and Typhoon wanted to call their lawyers after the match was over, but it was what it was there. So let's just get down to the 1992 Royal Rumble. Now, let me ask you this. I mean, is this, if someone put a gun to your head, are you going to say that this is the greatest Royal Rumble of all time?
I think it's one of the coolest stipulations with the title being on the line, although I think Triple H won the title from a Royal Rumble many years later. But I think it was the first time, probably one of the most memorable Rumbles up to that point. Because it was Flair, the title was on the line. He was in the ring for over 60 minutes.
Made it feel more important.
He entered at number 3. And you know, you made a good point when we were watching. It's like there's so much talent in the ring. There's so many different names, you know, between Michaels and The Undertaker. And, I was also going to say one of the reasons why there was definitely there must have been a lot of pride from the guys who had been in NWA this night, because their guy, Ric Flair, was being given the torch, in a way, at least for a short period of time. Piper, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Kerry Von Erich as the Texas Tornado. Yeah. You could tell when they entered the ring.
It just seemed like Flair had so much history with all of these guys, from Piper to Kerry Von Erich. It was like he sold his ass off for everybody, even him and Shawn Michaels. Like, you could just feel it. Like, Shawn looked up to him his whole life. He's going out there with Flair. He like seized the moment. So yeah, I thought Flair was great. I mean, I would say this. To me, it's not a great. It's not really about the match. It's really just about the Flair performance as to why, I think a lot of people would rate it as the best Rumble ever.
And he got his ass kicked. I mean, he really sold a lot for everybody. I mean, as far as the quality of the match goes, I don't know. My view on Rumbles is that they don't great
have replay value
live. Yeah. They don't have a lot of replay value because a lot of guys are just standing around. Hogan looks stupid in this Rumble. I'm not a Hogan fan. For those of you
raking
who
of the eyes, brother.
He used an eye rake like a total of 15 to 20 times, and that's not even a freaking exaggeration. He obviously doesn't know what to do outside of the Hulk Hogan formula that he has, and
Well, that's the thing about the Rumble. There's a lot of improvising going on, so you have that whole thing to deal with.
Yeah, and so guys like Flair and Shawn Michaels, like, they thrive in that sort of environment. But guys like Hogan and these other dudes, just Piper thrives in spontaneity. But Hogan, I'm just a critic because he got the biggest reactions and he made the most money. And then when it came to situations like this, he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. Okay. So I'm a big critic of Hogan. And he's great. He was a great force in the
Well, in terms of what you were saying about Hogan, you could just tell, like, your Twinkies analogy was pretty funny. Like, it just seemed like this is a great, even at Survivor Series and here at the Rumble, you could just tell the fans were done with them.
You might want to explain the Twinkies thing, because I don't think anyone's going to understand. What I meant to say was that if you're being force-fed Twinkies from the time you're 5 years old, after a few years, you don't want Twinkies anymore. That's what I'm. It probably. Maybe that's because he has yellow tights on. That's why I said the thing about Twinkies.
All right. So what did you think of the ending with Sid actually taking the opportunity to eliminate Hogan and actually doing it, and then Hogan actually pulls Sid's arm, and then Flair eliminates him? It was just such a great moment for Flair, but
it's awkward.
Yeah,
I find it awkward because you have it's Hogan's not. His face, but he and Sid are just kind of like jealous of each other and one-upping each other. That's really all it is. But it felt odd after all those years of seeing Hogan be like the right thing and do the right thing and be the right Sid, to kind of like cause that finish to happen. He kind of
for the all righteous babyface, it kind of goes against the code of honor to do something like that. So I'd agree with that.
I just thought it was a little awkward, to be honest with you. And my only issue with it, looking back, and and if they did this today, it would be frustrating too. Is that you just had the champion. Guy who became the undisputed champion in Flair, and all the attention is on Hogan and Sid. Two guys who.
Well, that's the thing. Let me talk about. Obviously, we always talk about Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan is obviously, arguably, one of the best WrestleMania matches that never happened. So I mean, a lot of people use the excuse like, "Oh, Hogan and Flair they weren't getting the reaction at house shows, so they moved away from it." And my personal opinion, I think it might have had something to do with the steroid situation, maybe. But more than anything, I just think Vince got erected over the Sid versus Hogan dream match at WrestleMania, so he rushed that, and he just had Flair. He just had Flair put over, the next best WWF talent, which ended up being the Macho Man Randy Savage. So, I mean, I think that whole press conference, you asked me about it, I just think they used that to showcase the jealousy of Sid to start the story.
The press conference where they
named Hogan the number one contender.
At a press conference after the Royal Rumble. Right. And then they just went away from it. They went away from it, yeah. I know.
Since Savage was the odd man out, he got the title shot. And then that started a whole Elizabeth thing.
The lovely Elizabeth.
Yeah.
come on now.
Yeah.
Come on now, let's be frank.
But I don't know. Like, a lot of people like WrestleMania 8. Like, it started off as there's some great stuff on it, but the mindset is that it fell flat overall.
Yeah.
I mean, you agree with that?
This WrestleMania 8?
Yeah. Just the way it was.
Hogan Sid is a flat thing. It was always it was a flat thing for me. Yeah. I think it just, I know we're talking about Hogan too much, but it just, once again, I just feel like it was a cool night for Flair, and and it happened, but at that time they felt a lot of need to find a bigger, badder big man for Hogan to go against, and for you and me, that's been.
See, I think it had more to just do with Sid than anything. Than steroids, or even maybe Flair and Hogan wasn't going to be that great of a match.
Sid just had a very it paid off eventually going to WrestleMania 13 into that. The people loved Sid at that time. I don't know why, but I think he just had a physical presence that people were very impressed by.
Oh yeah, it's all about the look. And,
it's all about the look.
Even going back to Survivor Series '96, we talked a lot about Sid there. But overall, I think it's an incredible accomplishment for Flair.
Why do you keep having me on reviews where we have to talk about Sid? Because it's just gonna be Sid fans.
I don't know, man.
There's a Sid fan out there who's gonna punch me in the face.
I know. But for Flair to come in as an outsider and to win the first Rumble ever that was for the championship, it was a hell of an accomplishment. I think they vacated the title just solely so Flair could win this thing. But ultimately, I think the plan was they wanted Flair to put over a WWF talent at WrestleMania. It ended up being the Macho Man. I think originally it was supposed to be Hogan, but, I think Vince's mindset was that Sid was too attractive to pass up on. But overall, talk about the Flair promo, Bobby the Brain Heenan, he was actually a big part of the match as well on commentary. It actually felt like he was rooting for Flair. Probably one of the most biased commentaries ever, but I thought it came off great. No, the Flair promo at the end, I would actually put this up there, maybe as Flair's best promo, maybe a top 10 promo. Not because of anything crazy he said, but just because of the emotion and the look in Flair's eye, the tears. I just thought it came off great.
The passion. He was very passionate about it. He was with Mr. Perfect and Bobby the Brain Heenan. And Bobby the Brain, you have to give him a lot of credit because, the biased commentary is what made it fun.
Yeah,
it made it a lot of fun. Ric Flair, passion, enthusiasm, emotion. He obviously deserved it, and it was a great historic Royal Rumble. It was probably one of the most historically significant Royal Rumbles. Yeah. And I do think there was a little bit of NWA pride out there to say,
definitely,
this is our
There's
guy.
so many guys that
was
came
a little
from
bit
different
of
promotions.
that.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, and because
not just NWA, even with the Texas Tornado, you could tell they had a history together, working in the Dallas Sportatorium, stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's special. That's kind of a special historic thing, for Flair to come in and win the title like that. It was a big deal, And so
and I think it was great for Flair too, the Rumble, because it's kind of like you could go away from the WWE style for one night, and it's all improvising. It's a match that I think it was tailor made for Flair, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I know down the road he particularly when he lost the title to Bret, him and Vince were talking about how Flair, he works a certain style. And he's not really a WWE style guy, so that's one of the reasons why I think they decided to go away from him in terms of the championship. But overall, man, this is just a great moment. Great performance from Flair. So to me, it's debatable, but you could definitely argue this as being the best Royal Rumble to date. I don't have any personal memories from the show. I don't remember ordering it at the time, so I do regret that. For whatever reason, I just don't remember watching this live. But other than that, man, it still holds up for me. You want to give some final thoughts?
I think I do remember watching it and everyone being really, because at the time all the kids were into Hogan and some people were interested in Sid, so it makes sense that those guys were the main event going forward because kids were still really into Hulk Hogan. But I remember thinking that everyone was really disappointed when Hogan pulled Sid out of the ring.
They were?
Yeah, the people I watched it.
I don't remember that.
That's all I remember. Everyone being
I remember watching WrestleMania 8 live, but not the Rumble. But yeah, man. All right, we're going to wrap it up now. That's pretty much it. And we'll see you later. All right.